Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. So this is pretty big. If you thought the current situation with Star Wars movies and Lucasfilm couldn't get stranger, well it just has. There have been back and forth contradictory reports in the last 24 hours, and I want to clear them up. As with all Star Wars news, this is your one-stop shop, so make sure you subscribe for all of the latest. But let's get into it. Daisy Ridley gave some reassuring comments concerning the situation of the Rey movie, telling us there is an update coming soon, and it seemed like everything was hunky-dory. Fast forward to 24 hours later, Variety and Puck News have reported that the movie has lost its screenwriter Stephen Knight. A huge caveat to note is that reliable sources have been saying for some time that Stephen Knight will probably not be the final writer on the movie because he has other priorities, other movies and shows that he has to work on. Kathleen Kennedy apparently kept making notes, and in the end, it just didn't work. Creative differences, that infamous phrase we all know, is the reason the writer stepped away. The movie is no longer going to make its December 2026 release date, and I'm sure no one is surprised. So why did Daisy say things were going well? Was she lying about the state of the film? I don't think so, because we need to clarify a few things. The movie itself isn't cancelled, and she specifically used the word evolving. That implies ongoing change. Daisy no doubt already knew Stephen Knight walked away from the project, so the question is there a backup plan? Is there another writer who's going to fill the spot? According to Variety, the answer is no, but Lucasfilm is making arrangements behind the scenes. We have no idea when or even if the project is ever going to be made. Some fans think it's never going to see the light of day, and regardless of what you think of a possible Rey movie, what happened in this instance is symptomatic of a wider problem at Lucasfilm. Was Kathleen Kennedy interfering with the creative process? Were there creative risks that she didn't want to take? What didn't she like about the script? There has been some speculation as to whether or not J.J. Abrams might be asked to return. There were some rumblings that after Episode 9 Lucasfilm were in contact with him, although to be honest I hope they go a different direction. Or maybe Shawn Levy's going to be asked to take over. He's got his own Star Wars project in the works, but for all we know, he might be the one to take over the Rey project. And as some rumours suggested, if his movie was sequel-based anyway, he could merge his ideas with those that were already set up by Knight before his departure. But the point is this, Daisy knows something, and since this news dropped, there's been another update. Speaking with Josh Horowitz, she said despite the latest news, there is a Rey movie update that is imminent, and that she's already seen something for the movie. They haven't filmed, but they have something big to announce, and she knows the date it's going to take place. I believe Knight has been off the project for at least a few months, but we are just hearing about it now. I don't think Daisy is merely just trying to save face. She seems confident an announcement is soon, and for all we know, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has been dismissed as well. But in terms of Stephen Knight, he is the third writer who stepped aside. Initially we had Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson. So who will be next? And it's looking more and more likely the rumour of James Mangold's movie coming next is true, after Mando and Grogu of course. There's honestly very little we can say at this point. It's just become embarrassing on Lucasfilm's end. Endless movies scrapped, numerous creators stepping away. But in more positive Star Wars movie updates, The Mandalorian and Grogu has finished filming. It's a wrap, and it's going to meet its release date of May 22nd, 2026. This might be the only Star Wars movie we get for a very long time. But the franchise keeps taking loss after loss. Puck News was the first with this report, but then Variety said this. There is another disturbance in the Force. Screenwriter Stephen Knight has departed the Star Wars movies set to follow Daisy Ridley's Rey after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. Something is going on at Lucasfilm. The first couple of times this happens, you say to yourself, well maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe there are factors at play that fans from the outside don't understand, things we don't know about. But when it happens across many projects over several years, you start to see a trend. At this stage we have to acknowledge there is a problem with the studio, a problem with its management, and things just keep getting worse. What do you guys think? Are you surprised? So let's take a look and see how some fans responded. This is inexcusable. This should not be the norm for Lucasfilm. Super disappointed if this news comes out to be true, because Stephen is a fantastic writer. He sure is. If you're a fan of Peaky Blinders, you know this, but it just wasn't meant to be. There is the possibility, like we've seen with Rogue One and Obi-Wan Kenobi, that some of the writers who worked on those projects but later left were still credited for some of their input. If they use some of Stephen Knight's script, even if he's no longer the principal writer, he still should get credit. A lot of this sentiment, rumoured release date, it was never official in the first place. So far all we know is that the movie is looking for a new writer and no delays. This is definitely optimistic thinking, because while Lucasfilm themselves haven't given us anything really outside of what was at Star Wars Celebration, they've never been super communicative with the fans. I mean, if you think about it, from a technical standpoint, we never got official word from Lucasfilm themselves about the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron movie, or even the Acolyte Season 2. We kind of rely on the trades at this point. This person says, I'm actually glad it won't meet the original release date, not because of the film itself, but 2 Star Wars films in 1 year doesn't seem right. I agree with this. Let the Mandalorian and Grogu breathe. It's about quality, not quantity. And if the report is true that the Mandalorian and Grogu has wrapped, things are going really well on that front. Allow Star Wars fans to have a win, because if one of those films doesn't do well, and isn't well received by the fandom, the other one is surely going to suffer by way of lack of viewership and the perception. Think of The Last Jedi Solo situation. This person says, bring back the director Bryce Dallas Howard and the writers Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. They've got their hands full with Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, Mando. I don't think they're going to be working on this. Honestly, this movie isn't going to happen. It's eventually going to get shelved, just like the Patty Jenkins movie, and Tika. I think they meant Taika. I kind of agree with this. I think of all of the projects that have never made it to the screen. I think Lucasfilm needs to stop announcing things, at least until there is a script, because at the end of the day, they've lost the fans' trust. We can't get excited for anything, because we simply don't know what is going to release and what isn't. This comment is interesting. Just cancel the project. This film has zero momentum. While I think the sentiment is valid, is there an argument to be made about giving the character a second chance? This time with a better written, better structured story? Or are we beyond that? Is the chance of a better story even possible with what's going on behind the scenes? That's why I want someone new, not Rian Johnson and not J.J. Abrams. Give this character a fresh perspective. Daisy deserves it. And until we have a synopsis, until we know what the thing is actually about, it's arduous to make this judgment, but I see this perspective. Originally, Lucasfilm wanted to make Rey much older, until they eventually decided to set it 15 years after Rise. And here's a very good point. So now they're back to meddling with a writer's vision. They've always done this. It goes back to what we were saying, that there is absolutely a problem at Lucasfilm. But what do you guys make of this? Do you think the Daisy Ridley movie is coming soon? Do you believe Daisy? Was she telling the truth? Is an announcement imminent? Or is this movie doomed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.